of the kind China would not have expected. First, a report in the Australian media exposed how China had, in a cowardly fashion, tried to suppress the number of casualties it suffered at the hands of Indian troops in the Galwan skirmish. In fact, the Australian report has spoken to researchers online, has accessed a report by them to claim that the casualties are 9 times what China has let on. And even as that first blow was to sink in, today India took a firm stand in the face of China's provocation, where they made one of their military commanders, who was injured in Galwan, a torchbearer in the torch relay before the Beijing Winter Olympics was to begin. India sent out a clear message: this is politicization, we will not tolerate it, and Indian diplomats are now going to boycott the opening and closing ceremony of the Games.
Yes, we have seen the reports on this issue. It is indeed regrettable that the Chinese side has chosen to politicize an event like the Olympics. I wish to inform that our chargé d'affaires of the Embassy of India in Beijing will not be attending the opening or the closing ceremony of the Beijing 22 Winter Olympics.
In fact, we spoke to the editor of the Australian newspaper who carried out this investigation and asked him exactly how they reached the conclusion that a minimum of 38 soldiers had in fact been lost by the Chinese in Galwan.
We have the findings of a 12-month investigation that's based on social media reports from inside China, from people from eyewitness accounts. Basically, it's given us a far greater understanding of what's occurred on the evening of June 15, 2020 in the clash between the Indian and Chinese forces. So we've ascertained that the death rate was much higher than it has been claimed by China. China said that there were 4 casualties, that it has awarded a medal to each. Now, that's long been in dispute by numerous parties, including India. Now, the information we have now suggests, or very strongly suggests, in fact, that the figure was 38, if not 40, but 38's the most accurate that we've ascertained. And many of these people were killed, or many of the Chinese soldiers were killed when they attempted to cross the Galwan River early in the battle, and were swept away or otherwise injured in battle.
And why this is important is that it comes less than 24 hours after former Congress President Rahul Gandhi, while speaking in Parliament, berated the Modi government, saying that they lack clarity on how to deal with China. And China's vision, in fact, is very, very clear. Tom Vadakkan of the BJP joins us, along with political analyst and lawyer Manasvi Thapar. You would agree that this is as clear a vision as there can be, Manasvi Thapar, both diplomatically and militarily.
Padmaja, definitely every Indian would want the Indian government or the Indian soldiers to win across the borders. That is the case. But we should also remember what happened in 1962. From 20th October to 21st November, there was incursion of war with China, first Indian-Sino war. And at that particular time, the then government, the third Lok Sabha, was recently just elected. And then in between, the Prime Minister of that time, Jawaharlal Nehru, had session. And everyone was asking, is the Prime Minister sold? What is our military bulk? What is our economic bulk? Are we strengthened enough to fight? But that has not happened. What happened during the Chinese incursion this time? We need to know. As parliamentarians, you may not tell to the people in general. You have to disclose what is happening at the borders to our parliamentarians. This was not the first time. In a situation like war with China, the parliamentarians had no idea what happened there. And let me remind you, in the third Lok Sabha session, out of the 494 seats, Indian National Congress has 361 seats, and no other political party had more than 30 seats. Bharatiya Janata was only 14 seats. Even then,
we are not here to discuss electoral history. My simple question to you is,
then the Prime Minister was accountable.
Sir,
Prime Minister was accountable.
Sir, you asked for accountability, that's fine. But to say that China has a clear vision and India is running around in circles, if you are actually bringing down 38 soldiers while terribly losing 20 of your own, at least the least you will admit is that this is not lack of vision. If somebody is an aggressor, you cannot stop the aggression, but you have responded to it.
historically we know China is the biggest land grabber of the globe. The Chinese, from Tibet to India to Pakistan to Kazakhstan to Mongolia to Russia to Japan, everywhere we know, and we need to be extra secure. If there is an incursion happening with Chinese people, we need to know what is happening there. Why isn't there accountability, answerability? This is a parliamentary.
We need to know, matlab?
The people of this country at large should know what is happening.
Okay, Tom Vadakkan, we need to know.
Well, I think the person who needs to know is the parliamentarian who also happens to be the spokesman of the state of the Republic of China. Be what it may, the fact of the matter is India admitted casualties and they were honored, soldiers who fought for us, shed their blood for us. We honored them. As to the question of the figures on the other side, it is our disciplined soldiers who did not go on record, but we heard one of the commanding officers say, well, the casualty could have been around 60, but we are not very sure of the mortality. Now, that is the kind of Indian we have, and he said that on record. Now, if this gentleman who pretends to be, he's on the borderline of being a Congress partyman, or whether he's, I don't know the status of this gentleman, but let me tell you something. 17,000 people died in the first war with China. That was a figure in public domain. Now the figure has come out from Australia, independent of India's calculation, 48. Russians put it down to around 40, and there were other figures going around to 120. The point here is casualties are there on the other side. What more does he want? The figures, transparency is all there. And yet, the spokesman of the Chinese side comes in parliament and says, and in a threatening note, believe me, that we are facing one of the
it's fair to call a member of parliament of the Indian National Congress a spokesperson for the Chinese? He's been elected by the people of India.
He is elected, but he should not act beyond his role. If he comes and says the Chinese is the biggest threat and that we need to run helter-skelter, and he talks about things that the foreign policy has led to a situation where we have brought China and Pakistan together.
Manasvi Thapar.
He also needs to mend his language.
Okay. The language seems to be more for China than for your country.
See, when we, as countrymen in democracy, till now we are a democracy. In democracy, we have the right to ask questions.
We are a democracy. We continue to remain a democracy.
Mr. Vadakkan, that's why you can say the elected member of parliament as Chinese, we are a democracy. So we have the right to speak anything and everything. But the question is, we have the right to ask some questions. And when it comes to our border lines, we have the right to ask some questions to the people who are in power. Why is it a problem to answer those people who are elected? Why do we have a problem? Just because it's coming from Congress people, that's why you have a problem. Sir, BJP and you were also part of Congress most of your life. BJP all their life were in opposition and they were asked for their questions. They asked the people in power. And that is how democracies function. You have the right to ask. Tell me in the constitution there is no right for the opposition to ask questions. The greatest speeches given by Sushma Swaraj were when she was in opposition. After she gave the best speeches when he was in opposition. So that's a right. That's a democratic right.
Okay, absolutely. You have everyone in this country has an inalienable right to demand answers. But demanding answers and declaring that India lacks vision, whereas your adversary lacks clarity, facts seem to suggest otherwise. We leave it at that. Ahead, on our prime time, we are going to get you, in fact, more excerpts of this report and more details of China hid its casualties. For now, though, thank you, gentlemen. Quick break.